Since you visited this video, you probably want to know what extinguishment of obligations is. Good day everyone, welcome to our channel. Today, we will discuss Chapter 4 Extinguishment of Obligations, including Section 1 with its subsections and Section 2. I am James Sacro, along with my teammates Irene Banyares, Chuck Madrid, Kiera May Balorio, Trisky Acampado, and Angel Ched Saga. Please join us as we begin this discussion.
Article 1232 states that payment means not only the delivery of money but also the performance in any other manner of an obligation.
So ang pasabot na ning Article 1232 di ay, kung maingong tag-payment, it includes pag-deliver og kwarta o butang or object. Generally, real obligation. Di ba ang real obligation kay to give mo na mo deliver ka og kwarta or object. Since na apoy performance nga gi-include dire gi-state sa Article 1232, ang performance it also includes doing or not doing something. Di ba ang doing or not doing something is a personal obligation. In other words, payment means to give and performance means to do or not to do. Under Article 1232, nag-state po ni dire og requisites of payment. There are two requisites of payment. Number one is the identity of the prestation. It states there or it means that the very thing due must be delivered or released. So it means kung unsay gisabutan, maoy ihatag or buhaton. Example, obligation to give a motorcycle. So, ang obligation nimo kay mohatag makag motorcycle, dapat motorcycle imong ihatag. Dili ka mohatag og bike. Since motorcycle may gisabutan, dapat motorcycle ang imong ihatag. Now, that's the identity of the prestation. The very thing due must be delivered or released. Integrity, muna itong pangduhang requisite. So, ang integrity means the prestation must be fulfilled completely. Dapat kompleto, completely rendered or delivered. Dili pwede nga partial ra or irregular, otherwise dili ma-accomplish or ma-extinguish ang obligation. But there is exception, which is the 1. Substantial compliance in good faith nga ato na sidyang matakol later on sa Article 1234. Number 2, ang exception is waiver under Article 1235 ato na matakol sab. And the number 3 exception is the application of payment if the debts are equally onerous nga matakol in the Article 1254.
Article 1233 states a debt shall not be understood to have been paid unless the thing or service in which the obligation consists had been completely delivered or rendered as the case may be.
So, ang meaning na ng Article 1233, a debtor must fulfill the entirety of their obligation to be considered as having paid. And the creditor can refuse partial payment unless explicitly agreed upon. Essentially, complete performance is required for payment to be considered valid. So, dapat complete performance jud nga required for payment to be considered as valid. For example, if a person agrees to sell a car to another for a specific price, the seller, which is seller ang debtor, cannot claim to have fulfilled their obligation by delivering only the car title without delivering the actual vehicle. The buyer, the creditor, can refuse to pay until they receive the complete car as stipulated in the contract.
Article 1234 states if the obligation has been substantially performed in good faith, the obligor may recover as though there had been a strict and complete fulfillment, less damages suffered by the obligee.
So kaning artikulo mo na niyang state ganiha, sa Article 1232. So the substantial performance doctrine in good faith rule means recovery from an obligation is allowed in case of substantial performance doctrine in good faith. So there are two requisites, which are substantial performance and good faith. So kaning duha dili ni pwede no nga substantial performance ra, dapat jud na ay good faith. Tumbalikon, dili na sila pwede magbuwag, dapat substantial performance and good faith intact na sila ha, intact. So one of the examples no para enlighten gamay, Mr. A obliged himself to deliver 10 sacks of rice to Mr. B. Despite the diligent effort of Mr. A, there he cannot deliver 10 sacks. That's why Mr. A delivers 5 sacks of rice due to shortage of rice. If we were to examine the situation, gusto jud ni Mr. A na ma-deliver or ma-comply ang 10 sacks of rice nga obligation niya. Pero what niya nabuhat kay for the reason outside and beyond in his control na ang situation. Wala na siya makuhaan kay wa na stock or shortage na. Shortage na ang situation. Meaning, Mr. A acted in good faith. The article states that the obligor may recover as though there had been a strict and complete fulfillment less damages. Therefore, Mr. B cannot require Mr. A to wait for the 10 sacks nga makompleto aron makabayad kay tungod sa substantial performance doctrine o substantial compliance in good faith. Ang mabuhat ni Mr. B, which is si Mr. B ang creditor, kay bayaran si Mr. A pero less ang price nga 5 sacks nga wa nahatag ni Mr. A.
Article 1235 states when the obligee accepts the performance knowing its incompleteness or irregularity and without expressing any protest or objection, the obligation is deemed fully complied with.
The Article 1235 means midawat kas gibayad sa debtor which is irregular. No, then sa pagdawat nimo, wala ka may reklamo. Wala ka may protest or may object. As if nga nag-waive ka og bag-ong right. Kay from that time nga imong nadawat ang irregular or incomplete nga bayad, pwede man ka mo reject or mo protest. But since wala ka man may reject or may protest, the law presumes you are waiving your rights to reject it. The obligation is deemed fully complied with. Naatay general rule which is the principle of integrity, a debt shall not be understood to have been paid unless the thing or service in which the obligation consists have been completely delivered or rendered as the case may be. As you remember, principle of integrity is one of the two requisites under payment, which I have stated in the Article 1232. So there are exceptions. Number 1, if the obligation has been substantially performed in good faith, the obligor may recover as though there had been a strict and complete fulfillment less damages suffered by the obligee. So kaning exceptions number 1, gi-state na ninaho sa Article 1234. Kaning exceptions number 2, no, agmeaning na ni no kay incompleteness and irregularity must be known by obligee. Next, we have here the substantial performance doctrine. The rule that if a good faith attempt to perform does not precisely meet the terms of an agreement or statutory requirements, the performance will still be considered complete if the essential purpose is accomplished, subject to claim for damages for the shortfall.
Article 1236 states the creditor is not bound to accept payment or performance by a third person who has no interest in the fulfillment of the obligation, unless there is a stipulation of the contrary.
The creditor is bound to accept payment or performance from the following. Number 1, debtor. Sa debtor ang naay utang. Si Japod ang obligor. Debtor obligor the same, synonymous. So sa debtor obligor ang naay utang, si Ja ang mubayad. So expected si Ja ang mubayad. Number 2, the person who has an interest in the obligation. Kadtong na ay interest in an obligation. Number 3, third person who no interest in the obligation. When there is a stipulation that he can make payment. The second paragraph states without the debtor's consent or knowledge, if the third person paid without the knowledge or against the will of the debtor, he can recover only insofar as the payment has been beneficial to the debtor. Makakuha ra si jag beneficial reimbursement. He also not entitled to subrogate. Dili si jag makasubrogate.
Article 1237 states, whoever pays on behalf of the debtor without the knowledge or against the will of the latter cannot compel the creditor to subrogate him in his rights, such as those arising from a mortgage, guarantee, or penalty.
So subrogation means the payer steps into the shoes of creditor. Siya ang nipuli ni creditor. Now, if the payment was made by a third person without the consent of the debtor, the third person have no right of subrogation. Kung walay knowledge si debtor or without the consent of the debtor, walay subrogation nga mahitabo, or cannot compel the creditor to subrogate him in his right, such as those arising from guarantee, mortgage, and penalty.
Article 1238 states, a payment made by a third person who does not intend to be reimbursed by the debtor is deemed to be donation, which requires the debtor's consent, but the payment is in any case valid as to the creditor who has accepted it.
Meaning naning Article 1238, para ma-valid ang donation, to give enlightenment, para ma-valid ang donation, dapat na ay acceptance si debtor. If dili mo dawat si debtor, ang payment is not considered as valid. Then, the third party may potentially recover the amount from the debtor since wala man ming agree si debtor. This means that the debtor still has an obligation and still liable kay wa man si jaming accept sa offer nga dapat bayaran ni third party. However, in a situation nga ang creditor may dawat sa bayad ni third party, valid ni siya.
Article 1239 states, in obligations to give, payment made by one who does not have the free disposal of the thing due and capacity to alienate, it shall not be valid, without prejudice to the provisions of Article 1427 under the title of the natural obligations.
This means that payment made by an incapacitated person is not valid unless certain conditions are met. When we say free disposal of the thing due, it means that the thing to be delivered must not be subject to any claim or lien or encumbrance of a third person. The meaning also about capacity to alienate means that the person is not incapacitated o way gahom o kakayahan to enter into contracts. Those incapacitated person includes a person is unable to manage their own affairs due to mental or physical disability.
Article 1240. Payments shall be made to the person in whose favor the obligation has been constituted or his successor in interest or any person authorized to receive it.
Good day everyone, I'm Irene Grace Albanyares from BSA 1C, so this is my part of our reporting. Article 1240 is all about payment. So payments must be made to the person in whose favor the obligation was established or their authorized representative. It ensures that payments are directed to the rightful recipient. Example, if a landlord is owed rent, the tenant must pay the rent directly to the landlord or to an agent who has been authorized to collect it on behalf of the landlord. Payment made to a third person shall also be valid insofar as it has in redounded to the benefit of the creditor, such as benefit to the creditor, need not be proved in the following cases. If after the payment the third person acquires the creditor's rights, if the creditor ratifies the payment to the third person, if the creditor's conduct, the debtor has been led to believe that the third person has authority to receive the payment.
Article 1241, payment to a person who is incapacitated to administer his property shall be valid if he has kept the thing delivered or insofar as the payment has been beneficial to him.
Article 1241 is incapacity of payee. A payment made to a person who is legally incapacitated, unable to manage their own affairs, or it is still considered valid if the incapacitated person either retains the benefit or if it is beneficial to them. Example, if a person with a mental disability receives payment for service rendered and they use the money to purchase necessities, then the payment is valid despite their incapacity to manage their property.
Article 1242, payment made in good faith to any person in possession of the credit shall release the debtor.
Article 1242, good faith payments. If a debtor makes a payment in good faith to someone in possession of a credit, that payment will release the debtor from the obligation even if the receiver wasn't actually entitled to receive it. Example, a debtor mistakenly pays a person who falsely claims to be the creditor. If the payment was made in good faith and the debtor believes the person to be the rightful creditor, the debtor is discharged from the obligation.
Article 1243, payment made to the creditor by the debtor after the latter has been judicially ordered to retain the debt shall not be valid.
Article 1243, payment after retention order. Any payment made to a creditor after a judicial order requires the creditor to retain the debt is deemed invalid. This protects the interests of all parties involved as per court rulings. Example, if a court orders a creditor to keep the debt in question until a particular issue is resolved, and the debtor pays the creditor during this time, such a payment is not valid. What is preliminary attachment? A writ of preliminary attachment is provisional remedy issued upon order of the court, where an order is pending to levy upon the property or properties of the defendant therein. The same to be held thereafter by the sheriff as security for the satisfaction of whatever judgment might be secured in said action by the attaching creditor against the defendant. What is final attachment? It is one that is issued to enforce a judgment that has already become final and executory. What is preliminary injunction? It is an order granted at any stage of an action or proceeding prior to the judgment or final order, requiring a party or a court agency or a person to refrain from a particular act or acts. What is final injunction? It is one included in the judgment as the relief or part of the relief granted as a result of the action. What is garnishment? It is a species of attachment in which plaintiff seeks to subject his claims properties of a debtor in the hands of a stranger.
Article 1244, the debtor of a thing cannot compel the creditor to receive a different one, although the latter may be of the same value as or more valuable than that which is due. In obligation to do or not to do, an act or forbearance cannot be substituted by another act of a forbearance against the obligee's will.
Article 1244, specific fulfillment of obligations. A debtor cannot force a creditor to accept a different items than what was agreed upon, even if the substitute item is of equal or greater value. The obligation must be fulfilled as specified. Example, if a debtor owes a specific painting, they cannot offer a sculpture instead. Even if the sculpture is worth more, the creditor is entitled to the specific painting.
Article 1245, dation in payment whereby property is alienated to the creditor in satisfaction of a debtor in money, shall be governed by the law of sales.
Article 1245, dation in payment. Dation in payment is a method by which a debtor transfers ownership of property to the creditor to settle a debt. The creditor must accept it for this settlement to be valid. Example: if a debtor owes money but cannot pay in cash, they might offer their car to the creditor. If the creditor accepts the car as payment, the debt is extinguished. In Article 1245, what is Dasyo en Pago? Dasyo en Pago, as a mode of extinguishing an existing obligation, partakes of the nature of sales whereby property is alienated to the creditor in satisfaction of a debt in money. It is an objective novation of the obligation, hence, common consent of the parties is required in order to distinguish the obligation. In Dasyo en Pago, as a special mode of payment, the debtor offers another thing to the creditor who accepts it as equivalent of payment of an outstanding debt. The requisites for Dasyo en Pago: performance of the prestation in leo or layo of payment, difference between the prestation due and that which is given in substitution, and agreement between the creditor and the debtor that the obligation is immediately distinguished.
Article 1246, when the obligation consists in the delivery of an indeterminate or generic thing whose quality and circumstances have not been stated, the creditor cannot demand a thing or superior quality. Neither can the debtor deliver a thing or inferior quality. The purpose of the obligation and other circumstances shall be taken into consideration.
Article 1246. This article states that when an obligation involves delivering an indeterminate generic thing, the creditor cannot demand a higher quality than what is specified in the agreement, and the debtor cannot deliver a lower quality than what is required. The nature of the obligation and surrounding circumstances must be considered. Example: a scenario. A contract states that a supplier must deliver 100 kilograms of rice. The creditor cannot demand a premium rice type like jasmine if the contract does not specify this quality. Conversely, the supplier cannot deliver rice that is spoiled or of a lower grade than what is generally expected.
Article 1247, unless it is otherwise stipulated, the extrajudicial expenses required by the payment shall be for the account of the debtor with regard to judicial costs, and the rules of court shall govern.
Article 1247. This article indicates that unless explicitly stated otherwise, any extrajudicial expenses, costs incurred outside of court, related to the payment are the responsibility of the debtor. Judicial costs, however, will follow the rules set by the court. Example: a scenario. A debtor is required to pay a creditor a sum of money. The debtor incurs delivery charges during this transaction, so the debtor must cover these delivery charges as they are considered extrajudicial expenses. If the creditor were to sue the debtor for non-payment, any court costs would be governed by the applicable rules of court. In conclusion, these articles establish the protocols for managing payments within contracts and obligations, ensuring fairness and clarity in financial transactions. It helps outline the obligations of debtor and creditors regarding the quality of goods and the responsibility for payments-related expenses.
Part 1248. Unless there is an express stipulation to the effect, the creditors cannot be compelled partially to receive the presentation in which the obligation consists, neither may the debtor is required to make partial payments. However, when the debt is in part liquidated and in part unliquidated, the creditor may demand and the debtor may effect the payment of the former without waiting for liquidated of the latter. Hi everyone, this is Chuck Benedict Q Madrid. Article 1248 allows creditors to accept partial payments, but it doesn't prevent them from doing so. Debt is liquidated when the amount is known or determinable through promissory notes and documentation. For example, X promised to pay Y 100,000 pesos, but the 10% of the net income is unliquidated. Article 1249. The payment of debts in money shall be made in the currency stipulated, and if it is not possible to deliver such currency, then in the currency which is legal tender in the Philippines. The delivery of promissory notes payable to order or bills of exchange or other mercantile documents shall produce the effect of payment only when they have been cash, or when through the fault of the creditor they have been impaired. In the meantime, the action derived from the original obligation shall be held in the abeyance. Article 1249 outlines rules for debt payment in money, requiring payment in specified currency or legal tender in the Philippines, delivering promissory notes, bills of exchange, or other mercantile documents does not produce payment effect except when cash or impaired due to creditor's fault. Article 1250. In case an extraordinary inflation or deflation of the currency stipulated should supervene, the value of the currency at the time of the establishment of the obligation shall be basis of payment unless there is an agreement to the contrary. Article 1250 states that in case of extraordinary inflation or deflation of a stipulated currency, the value of the currency at the time of the obligation shall be basis of payment. Unless an agreement to the contrary is in place, inflation is a sharp increase in money or credit without a corresponding increase in business transactions, while extraordinary inflation is unusual decrease in the purchasing power of currency beyond common fluctuations. Article 1251. Payment shall be made in the place designated in the obligation, there being no express stipulation, and if the undertaking is to deliver a determinate thing, the payment shall be made wherever the thing might be at the moment the obligation was constituted. In any other case, the place of payment shall be the domicile of the debtor. If the debtor changes his domicile in bad faith or after he had incurred in delay, the additional express shall be borne by him. These provisions are without prejudice to venue under the rules of court. Article 1251 outlines in the place of payment for obligations, specifying that payment should be made in agreed upon location if there is no stipulation, or the debtor's domicile. If the debtor changes the domicile in bad faith or incurs additional expenses will be borne.
Article 1252. He who has a various debts of the same kind of favor of one of the same creditor may declare at the time of making the payment to which of them same must be applied, unless the parties so stipulate, or when the application is made by the party for whom benefits the term has been constituted. Application shall not be made as debts which are not yet due. If debtor accepts from the creditor a receipt in which an application of the payment is made, the former cannot complain of the same unless there is a cause for invalidating the contract.
Hi everyone, this is Karami Balario, and now I'm gonna be tackling subsection 1 and 2. This subsection covers Article 1252 to 1255. So before we tackle Article 1252, we need to know first the application of payment. What is application of payment? Application of payment may be defined as the designation of the debt to which the payment must be applied when the debtor has several obligations of the same kind favor of the same creditor. So, it is important to know the rules of application of payment. Otherwise, dili nimo ma-determine sa uban na utang nga na-extinguish na. Note, application of payment involves several debts or daghang utang na same og debtor and creditor. So, example, Alan owes 1 million pesos to Brian. Then, gidugangan ni Jag 2 million pesos. Then, 3 million pesos was due on February 10, 2025. Alan's money is 5 million pesos, which is not enough to pay the debt. Dili nimo mahibaw-an kung asa nimo i-apply ang 500,000 unless we learn the rules of application of payment. So, dito na mosod ang Article 1252. Article 1252. He who has a various debts means si debtor. At the time of making the payment means si debtor makadecide asa niya i-allocate ang payment. But if the debtor didn't state asa niya i-allocate, so the answer is in paragraph 2. The creditor makes a decision. How? By stating in the receipt that he issues, unless there is a cause of invalidating the contract. If walay consent ni debtor ang pag-apply ni creditor sa payment or gibuhat na through fraud, force, or violence, if naay ana, dili na to ma-valid. So when man ma-invalid ang application of payment, neither of the debtor nor creditor makes the application. Example, consent ni debtor or creditor is done through fraud, error, or violence. So, moabot na dito ang application of payment is made by operation of law. Question, once the application is made, may it be revocable? So, answer, in general rule, dili na pwede unless both parties agrees. Note, it is still not allowed if the third person is prejudiced.
Article 1253. If the debt produces interest, payment of the principal shall not be deemed to have been made until the interest have been covered.
Article 1253. Ang bayad unahon gyud ang interest before ang principal. Pag dili enough ang money, note that this provision is mandatory. Example, si debtor mo bayad sa principal before sa interest. So this scenario, creditor has a right to decline. Unless creditor waive his or her right, means okay ra sa iyaha, then there's no problem. Example, Alan owes 10,000 pesos with an interest of 12%. Ni utang si Alan og 10,000 pesos with an interest of 12% ni Brian. So, Alan's money is 10,000 pesos only. So, under Article 1253, unahon ang interest before ang principal. So, mubayad siya sa 1,200 interest, then 8,800 pesos para sa principal applied into principal amount. That's all for Article 1253.
Article 1254. When the payment cannot be applied in accordance with the preceding rules, or if application cannot be interfered from other circumstances, the debt, which is most onerous to the debtor, among those due, shall be deemed to have been satisfied. If the debt dues are of the same nature and burden, the payment shall be applied to all of them proportionately.
Article 1254. Diri na musod by operation of law. Meaning aning article, in case walay application of payment na ginahimo si debtor nor si creditor, then the payment shall be applied to the most one onerous debt. But if same gani sila og nature or burden, then all of them can divide proportionately. What do you mean about onerous debt? Okay, about this onerous man. So it's burdensome. How to determine kung asay mas burdensome? Actually, there's no fixed rule in determining which is more burdensome to the debtor. So example of an onerous debt, an interest bearing debt, then a non-interest bearing debt. So bisan pag nauna si non-interest bearing debt, mas burdensome gihapon si bearing debt. Rules in case no application of payment has been voluntarily made. Number 1. Apply to the most onerous debts. Number 2. If debts are on the same nature and burden, application shall be made to all proportionately. Note that this rule is not applied. This rule is not applied if the debtor applies the application of payment. So to visualize number 2, I have an example. Alan owes 100,000 pesos to Brian. Then iya na pong gidugangan og 300,000 pesos. Ang money ni Alan is 150,000 pesos nga iyang ibayad. Asa ni pwede i-allocate si 150,000 pesos? So question, how should the payment be applied assuming that both debts are the same nature? So the answer is the payment should be applied proportionately. So tanaw mo 600,000 and 300,000. The 600,000 to 300,000. So 2:1 ang ratio. The ratio should be preserved. Mao nang ang 150,000 divided by 3, ang 100,000 i-minus dito sa 600,000, then ang 50,000 i-minus sa 300,000. Mo total na lang na ang iyang utang of 500,000 and 250,000. Thank you.
Article 1255. The debtor may cede or assign his property to his creditor in payment of his debts. This cession, unless there is stipulation to the contrary, shall only release the debtor from the responsibility for the net proceeds of the thing assigned. The agreement, which an effect of the cession are made between the debtors and his creditors, shall be governed by special law.
Article 1255. What is payment by cession? Cession or assignment may be defined as a special form of payment, whereby the debtor abandon all of his payment for the benefit of his creditors, in order that from the proceeds therefore latter, they may obtain payment for their credits. So, a process where all property of debtor i-transfer sa mga creditors, para pwede nila isell pangbayad sa utang. Then, the requisites of payment by cession. Requisites of payment by cession. Number 1, there must be 2 or more creditors. Number 2, the debtor must be partially or relatively insolvent. So, insolvent means kuhaon na tanan iyang property para ibaligya as a payment sa iyang mga utang. Then number 3, there must be an acceptance of cession by creditors. So, dili ma-impose sa unwilling creditor, meaning this provision talks about voluntary or contractual assignment. Cession of payment by assignment. Number 1, the assignment does not make the creditors the owner of the property of the debtor. So, dili maiya ang mga property ni debtor. Then number 2, the debtor is released from his obligation only up to the amount of the proceeds of sales of the property assigned. So if kuwang gihapon ang property nga gihatag ni debtor, need paghapon ni debtor mobayad sa iyang remaining balance.
Article 1256. If the creditor to whom tender of payment has been made refuses without just cause to accept it, the debtor shall be released from the responsibility by the consignation of the things or sum due. So let us define first what is tender of payment and consignation. So tender of payment is the definite act of offering the creditor what is due him or her, together with the demand that the creditor accept the same. So if it is a monetary obligation, it is the offering the payment or ang kwarta or ang bayad. And if it is a obligation to give something, you are actually offering the object or thing. And tender of payment is an act preparatory to the consignation. So next is the consignation. So consignation is the act of depositing the thing due with the court or judicial authorities whenever the creditor cannot accept or refuses to accept payment. So after nimong mag-tender of payment and the creditor cannot accept or refuse to accept the payment without a valid reason, you can consign to a proper authority. I-deposit nimo sa court ang kwarta or ang object para ma-extinguish ang imuhang obligation. And as a debtor, it is not your fault and it is unfair for you dahil you may become liable for damages or interest just because dili dawato ni creditor. So, to avoid this situation, you do the consignation. Now, balik ta sa Article 1256. Says that if the creditor to whom tender of payment has been made refuses without just cause to accept it, the debtor shall be released from the responsibility by the consignation of the things or sum due. So, tender of payment without consignation does not extinguish death of the obligation. So, example na laman nani is kintahay si Ana Rose na siya'y utang ni Rubin nga 1,000 due today. Nya wala gidawat ni Rubin ang bayad. So, si Ana Rose must deposit the money sa court and mauni gitawag nga consignation. And take note guys, na ay mga instances nga si creditor is na ay valid reason kung anong dili niya dawaton ang payment. Kung ang tender of payment nimo is number 1, illegal tender. So na ay right si creditor to refuse payment kung ang bayad ni debtor is not illegal tender. Like ang imong gibayad is a promissory note or cheque. Another one is include interest or dili buo or principal bayaran way apil ang interest. So naagihapoy right si creditor to refuse the payment ni debtor. Ang the last one is naay condition ang pagbayad sa debtor og tender of payment. And naay ko kanang right gihapon si creditor to refuse the payment kay dapat it must be unconditional. And take note na dapat ang tender of payment must be prior para naay consignation. And dapat si tender of payment must be proved by the debtor.
Article 1257. In order that the consignation of the thing due may release the obligor, it must first be announced to the persons interested in the fulfillment of the obligation. The consignation shall be ineffectual if it is not made strictly in the consonance with the provision which regulate payment.
So, proceed ta sa Article 1257. So, in order that the consignation of the thing due may release the obligor, it must first be announced to the persons interested in the fulfillment of the obligation. So, para ma-release si debtor or obligor sa iyang obligation, dapat na ay prior notice to persons interested, such as kanang guarantors, mga solidary debtors, and solidary creditors. So, kung why prior notice nila, ang consignation is dili valid. So, the consignation shall be ineffectual if it is not made strictly in the consonance with the provision which regulate payment. So, the consignation must also comply with the provisions of payment, like it should be made in legal tender.
Article 1258. Consignation shall be made by the depositing the things due at the disposal of the judicial authority before whom the tender of payment shall be proved in a proper case and the announcement of the consignation in the other cases. The consignation having been made, the interested parties shall also be notified thereof.
Article 1258. Consignation shall be made by the depositing the thing due at the disposal of judicial authority before whom the tender of payment shall be proved in a proper case and announcement of the consignation in other cases. The consignation having been made, the interested parties shall also be noticed thereof. So this prevention just answered the questions how consignation actually made. Article 1259. The expenses of consignation, when properly made, shall be charged against the creditor. So let's proceed to Article 1259. The expenses of consignation, when properly made, shall be charged against the creditor. So dapat liable si creditor sa expenses. Kaya if dili rin naman with his fault, dili sab moabot sa ingani nga point. And kung ang creditor is accept sa payment, so walay consignation nga mahitabo. So dapat nga responsible siya sa expenses. Rationale for consignation. The rationale for consignation is to avoid the performance of an obligation becoming more onerous to the debtor by the reason of causes not imputable to him. The general rule is that the creditor will bear the expenses of consignation because consignation of the obligation had been made because the creditor to whom tender of payment was made refused to accept it without just cause. Article 1260. Once the consignation has been duly made, the debtor may ask the judge to order the cancellation of the obligation. Before the creditor has accepted the consignation or before a judicial declaration that the consignation has been properly made, the debtor may withdraw the thing or the sum deposited, allowing the obligation to remain in force. Article 1261. If the consignation having been made, the creditor should authorize the debtor to withdraw the same. He shall lose every preferences which he may have over the thing. The co-debtor guarantors the sureties shall be released.
Article 1262. An obligation which consists in the delivery of a determinate thing shall be extinguished if it should be lost or destroyed without the fault of the debtor, and before he is incurred in delay. When by law or stipulation the obligor is liable, even for fortuitous events, the loss of the thing does not extinguish the obligation, and he shall be responsible for damages. The same rule applies when the nature of the obligation requires the assumption of risk.
Hi everyone, this is Angel Shed Saga. So, we are now on section 2, loss of the thing due. It covers the article 1262 to article 1269. First is article 1262. Article 1262 states that an obligation which consists in the delivery of a determinate thing shall be extinguished if it should be lost or destroyed without the fault of the debtor, and before he has incurred in delay. When by law or stipulation the obligor is liable even for fortuitous events, the loss of the thing does not extinguish the obligation, he shall be responsible for damages. The same rules applies when the nature of the obligation requires the assumption of risk. So, ang Article 1262 explain that kung mawala gani ang specific thing, ang obligation is ma-extinguish or ma-cancel out if the thing is lost without debtor's fault. For example, Carlos agrees to sell a rare painting to Maria. Before Carlos is late in delivering the painting, it is destroyed in a fire, since it was destroyed through no fault of Carlos, and before he delayed delivery, the contract ends, and Carlos is no longer obligated to deliver the painting. So, ang general rule sa Article 1262 is the obligation to deliver a determinate thing is extinguished if it should be lost or destroyed. Yan na po itulo ka requisites in order that an obligation to give a determinate thing will be extinguished. First is the obligation to deliver a determinate thing. Second is the thing is lost without the fault of the debtor. And last is the thing is lost before the debtor has incurred in delay. Yan na po mga exemption para malayable ang obligor. Naani siya 8 kabuok. First is when the law so provides. Ikaduha, when the stipulation so provides. Ikatulo, when the nature of the obligation requires the assumption of risk. Ikaupat, when the loss of the thing occurs with the fault of the debtor. Ikalima, when the loss of the thing occurs after the debtor has incurred the delay. Ikaunom, when the debtor promised to deliver the same thing to two or more persons who do not have the same interest. Kapito, when the obligation is to deliver a generic thing. Last is when the obligation to deliver a specific thing arises from a crime.
Article 1263. In an obligation to deliver a generic thing, the loss or destruction of anything of the same kind does not extinguish the obligation.
Article 1263. Article 1263 states that in an obligation to deliver a generic thing, the loss or destruction of anything of the same kind does not extinguish the obligation. So, kining Article 1263, which means loss of a generic thing is not extinguished, meaning liable gihapon ang debtor sa loss. Kay lagi, generic man. Daghan pa og source kuhaan para mailisan. For example, Sarah promises to deliver 100 kg of rice to John. If some of the rice is lost, Sarah is still required to deliver 100 kg of rice, as the obligation is for a generic thing rather than a specific thing.
Article 1264. The court shall determine whether, under the circumstances, the partial loss of the object of the obligation is so important as to extinguish the obligation.
Article 1264. Article 1264 states that the court shall determine whether, under the circumstances, the partial loss of the obligation is so important as to extinguish the obligation. So, ang Article 1264, ang court ang mag-decides if partial loss is significant enough to extinguish the obligation. Ang general rule niya is partial loss of the object of the obligation does not extinguish. Naano siya exemption for is when the court determined that the partial loss of the object of the obligation is so important as to extinguish the obligation. For example, Tom agrees to deliver 500 books to a library. If 100 books are destroyed in transit, the court will decide if the loss is significant enough to cancel the contract, depending on the importance of those books to the agreement.
Article 1265. Whenever the thing is lost in the possession of the debtor, it shall be presumed that the loss was due to his fault, unless there is a proof of the contrary, and without the prejudice the provision of Article 1165. This presumption does not apply in case of earthquake, flood, storm, or other natural calamity.
Article 1265. Article 1265 states that whenever the thing is lost in the possession of the debtor, it shall be presumed that the loss was due to his fault, unless there is proof to the contrary and without prejudice to the provisions of Article 1165. This presumption does not apply in case of earthquake, flood, storm, or other natural calamity. So, ang Article 1265, loss presumed due to debtor's fault unless proven otherwise, except in natural disaster. So, ang general rule niya is, if the thing is lost while in the possession of the debtor, it shall be presumed that the loss was due to his fault unless there is a proof. Nya na po exception. The general rule does not apply in case of earthquake, flood, storm, or other natural calamity. For example, Alex promises to deliver a laptop to Emma. If the laptop is lost while in Alex's possession, it's presumed that Alex is at fault. However, if the laptop is stolen during a flood, so di ba ang flood kay natural disaster man? So si Alex will not be held responsible unless proven otherwise.
Article 1266. The debtor in obligation to do shall also be released when the prestation becomes legally or physically impossible without the fault of the obligor.
Article 1266. Article 1266 states that the debtor in obligation to do shall be released when the prestation becomes legally or physically impossible without the fault of the obligor. So, sa Article 1266, debtor in obligation to do is released if performance becomes legally or physically impossible through no fault of their own. So, ang obligation is ma-extinguish na if it becomes legally or physically impossible. So, di na liable ang debtor. For example, Nina contracts with Ben to build a house on a piece of land. However, after starting construction, a sudden landslide occurs and completely destroys the land where the house was to be built. Since the landslide is out of Nina's control and makes the land unusable, Nina is released from their obligation to build the house. Kay under Article 1266, the prestation becomes physically impossible due to the landslide, and because Nina is not at fault, she is no longer bound by the contract.
Article 1267. When the service has become so difficult as to be manifestly beyond the contemplation of the parties, the obligor may also be released therefrom in whole or in part.
Article 1267. Article 1267 states that when service has become so difficult as to the manifestly beyond the contemplation of the parties, the obligor may also be released therefrom, in whole or in part. So, Article 1267 states that if fulfilling an obligation has becomes extremely difficult due to unforeseen events, the obligor may be released from that obligation, either fully or partially. For example, ABC Constructions agrees to build a hotel for a client in a coastal area. A sudden and unexpected landslide severely damaged the construction site. Because the landslide makes it impossible to continue, ABC Construction could be released from obligation under Article 1267 as the event was unforeseeable and made the project too difficult to complete.
Article 1268. When the death of the thing certain and determinate proceeds from a criminal offense, the debtor shall not be exempted from the payment of its price, whatever may be the cause for the loss, unless the thing having been offered by him to the person who should receive it, the latter refuse without justification to accept it.
Article 1268. Article 1268 states that when the death of the thing certain and determinate proceeds from a criminal offense, the debtor shall not be exempted from the payment of its price, whatever may be the cause for the loss, unless the thing having been offered by him to a person who should receive it, the latter refuse without justification to accept it. So, Article 1268 states that if the thing owed is lost due to a criminal act, the debtor is still required to pay for it. May fault man ang debtor o wala, liable gyapon siya. This applies regardless of the cause of the loss. Nya na general rule ang Article 1268. Ang iyang general rule is the debtor shall not be exempted from the payment of the price of the determinate thing, whatever may be the cause for the loss. Thus, even if the cause for the loss of the determinate thing is true fortuitous event, napod siya exception. Ang iyang exception is the thing having been offered by the debtor to a person who should receive it, the creditor refuse without justification to accept it. So, for example, Anna owes Ben a specific antique vase. One night, the vase is stolen. Even though the vase was lost due to a crime, Anna must still pay Ben for a vase. However, if Anna later offers the vase back to Ben after it is recovered, but Ben refuses to accept it without a good reason, Anna would no longer have to pay for it.
Article 1269. The obligation having been extinguished by the loss of the thing, the creditor shall have all the rights of action which the debtor may have against third person by reason of the loss.
Last is ang Article 1269. Article 1269 states that the obligation having been extinguished by the loss of the thing, the creditor shall have all the rights of action which the debtor may have against third person by reason of the loss. So sa Article 1269 says that if the thing owed is lost and ang obligation is extinguished, ang creditor can now exercise any rights the debtor had against third parties for the loss. This means if the loss was caused by someone else like thief, the creditor can pursue legal action just as the debtor could. So, for example, if one's car, which iyang gi-promise to deliver to Alex, kay na-stole sa third person. So, one is dili na obligated to deliver the car to Alex. However, si Alex can pursue legal action against the thief for the loss of the car. So that ends our discussion. Thank you for listening.